Okay, so today I'm doing a short little video. I'm going to be talking to you about a spot here that I think is pretty interesting in Queens. I'm actually in Queens. I'm here with Pat. Hi, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you,
I'm
Tom?
great. Thank you so much for asking. Today we're going to be talking about this cemetery behind me. We're going to go inside, show you a little bit of it, but a real quick video, tell you a little bit of the history. This here behind me is Calvary Cemetery. We're in Queens, like I said. This is Queens Boulevard. It's located in Woodside and Sunnyside. This is the largest cemetery in the United States by amount interred. Over 3 million people buried here. That's kind of insane. Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. We're actually at the entrance here. So the story about it is that it was actually founded and still run today by the St. Patrick's Cathedral trustees. In 1817, St. Patrick Cathedral, not the famous one next to Rockefeller Center, that came along later. It was the initial one that's still there in Nolita, in the Soho area, also known as Our Lady of the Godfather baptism scene. You may recognize the interior from that movie. They were looking for a new place to bury people because it's starting to get filled up. Their little cemetery there. And so they started the process of buying up land in Queens. In 1845, they bought these 71 acres, and in 1848, this was opened. It's named Mount Calvary after the hill that Jesus was crucified on outside of Jerusalem. You can still go there, there's a church there, and they named a cemetery after it. I mean, I guess some cemeteries name themselves, Shady Acres or something. This one's named after a spot where someone was murdered. Yikes. But, important fact, very important fact here, you're gonna remember this one. In Queens, there are 2 dead people for every living person inhabiting Queens, meaning there are 2 buried people. There's tons and tons of cemeteries here for over 5 million people. That's nuts. Kind of wild, huh? That's a pretty sick fact, if you ask me, huh? That means here in Queens, you can come and eat the best dumplings in the world and commune with Valhalla all at the same time, huh? Pretty interesting. Yeah, Bill, let's go inside and check it out. This is gonna be a quick video, so let's get moving. All right. So this is the interior of the cemetery. It actually has over 3 million people interred or housed here, which is more than the population of Chicago, which during the winter only has people who are dead on the inside. It is the biggest cemetery in the United States, very tranquil and peaceful. Now, one of the reasons it was created was because of the the Rural Cemetery Act of 1847, which allowed people to make money off cemeteries. Before that, you weren't allowed to capitalize off the dead. So imagine being one of the lobbyists for that act. Kind of creep you are to be lobbying to make money off of, the dead and their bodies, I guess. But it worked, and this was a result of it. Now, the St. Patrick's Cathedral trustees still run this cemetery. And in fact, inside this cemetery, there is a veterans park that's run by the city, and that is actually housing a lot of Union Army soldiers, so Civil War soldiers, the good side, I know that looked like I was saying those Confederate soldiers, but I mean the Union. The Union was the right side, right? So there's some housed here. And in the 1800s and 1900s, there were so many epidemics, actually, that at one point people were burying so fast here that you had to dig your own grave for your loved one, which is pretty wild. Your grandfather, at the end of his life, was spouting off all kinds of problematic things. And not only that, when he dies, he makes you dig his own grave. Pretty wild. Hopefully he left you his, record collection or memorabilia or whatever. Pretty quiet place. People come around, still run around here and take it easy. Kind of dark, I guess, but, it does remind you that this is where we all end in the end. That's a saying, I think. This is where we all end in the end. Right, Pat?
Yeah.
Okay. And remember that the reason Queens has so many cemeteries, remember in Queens, there are 2 dead people to every living person, pretty wild, is because there are no active cemeteries in Manhattan except for one, and that is in Washington Heights. It was the Trinity Cemetery in Washington Heights. That's right, they're still there until they get priced out too. They're gonna be the ones having to move out because of rising rents. You thought you were gonna rest in peace? Oh no, we're gonna put an Equinox here. Get out of here. So we'll see what happens, but for now, that is the only active cemetery. Famous burial there recently was Ed Koch, the former mayor of New York, was buried there, so you never know. See, people like to bike through here. All right. All right, so now I'm out on Queens Boulevard. You can get a nice little view here of one of the northeast corner of the actual cemetery. There are a lot of celebrities actually buried in this cemetery. Dom DeLuise, the famous actor. Yeah, well, from the 80s. He was in Cannonball Run, the Cannonball Run movies. You kids, I'm sure you guys love those. Just wait till they remake them with, Channing Tatum and Kevin Hart or something. But he was also in the movie Fatso. aptly named, I guess. He was an overweight guy. You have Annie Moore is buried there. She was the first ever immigrant to go through Ellis Island from County Cork, Ireland, and she was 17 years old, huh? 17 years old, already crossing the pond to give her brothers a better life, for her and her. Pretty wild. You know, and Lord knows when I was 17, I wasn't doing anything but playing computer games for 7 hours a day, but you know, you come a long way, I guess. You also have Al Smith, the famous governor of New York for a while. He actually got trounced by Herbert Hoover, unfortunately, in that election, 1928. You know, Hoover, not the vacuum guy, all right, the president, the dam president, you know, the Hoover Dam president. You can use that one home. Also, you have, who else? Robert Wagner, former mayor of New York. He became the ambassador to the Vatican after his mayoral career. It's a pretty cush gig, ambassador to the Vatican. I guess all the big issues like how many fanny packs should we allow in the St. Peter's Basilica. So he was a very busy man, I'm sure. Another person buried here is Tony Bennett. You know Tony Bennett? He actually sang at the opening of the Triborough Bridge in the 1930s. Man from Astoria. He's the guy who sings, you know who he is, right, Pat?
Yeah.
He's the guy who sings, Fly me to the moon, yeah, and let me play amongst the stars. Jupiter and Mars. I was about to say, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world, but that's a different song. But you know, he's the guy who sings, you know, don't forget to tip your waitress, all right. So yeah, Calvary Cemetery, pretty cool little, sorry, I was gonna say museum. It's not a museum, it's a cemetery here in Queens. Over 3 million interred, kind of wild. And like I said before, 5 million interred in Queens itself. 2 times more dead people than there are living people. So now for the dramatic ending, check it out, you know. Yeah, we'll move over here, you can see Queens Boulevard, and yeah, the cemetery is actually right next to more dead people coming, it looks like, huh? Let's fill her up. Sorry, that's messed up. Anyways, this is Queens Boulevard, and you have Staples right next to the cemetery. Pretty cool. Anyways, that's the end of the video, guys. We made it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Short video. Check out the other longer videos on the site, you know, on the channel. Huh? The channel. You know, yeah, there's a Patreon as well. You know, if you liked it, that's how I fund these things. And also, you know, like and subscribe, all that stuff. I want to make it short and concise, baby. Calvary Cemetery, biggest cemetery by interred in the country. Cool story, Tom. Pat, should we call it and go get some dumplings or something here in Woodside? Woodside, Queens, baby. Great neighborhood. You should check out that video. I have that up on the site as well. All right, see y'all later.